What's up, Dub Nation? Welcome back to the DubsIn4 Podcast, and wow, what a week it has been. We're here for episode number 18. Today is November 18th, 2018. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, today we're talking about the Warriors and everything that has gone down in the past week since I've been with you guys. So yeah, when we recorded last Sunday, everything was fine. There was, nothing wrong. Nothing going crazy. The Warriors had 5 games this week, and a lot has happened. So we're going to go over what has gone on and kind of give a timeline of events and what I expect moving forward from this team. Okay. So starting on Monday, the Warriors played the LA Clippers, and it was just, it was fine. Steph Curry was out. The Warriors were down, a couple points with a few minutes left. Started to make a comeback. Klay hit a couple shots. KD hit a couple shots. Eventually, they're tied and have the ball with 6 seconds left to go in regulation. Draymond grabs the rebound, starts to dribble it up the court. KD calls for the ball. Draymond doesn't give it to him. Draymond dribbles down the lane. Eventually, loses the ball to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Gets stripped. Ball kind of rolls away, time runs out, and they go to overtime. Kevin Durant fouls out pretty quickly on kind of a BS call, but the Warriors end up losing in OT. Draymond and KD got into a little bit of a fight, yelled at each other. Some feelings were hurt, some words were said, and eventually it ended up getting to the point where Draymond was suspended for the next game against the Hawks on Tuesday. KD was not very happy. Apparently he stormed out of the arena. The next night they played the Hawks, beat the Hawks 110-103. Not a particularly interesting game there. Nothing really big happened basketball-wise, but after the game, KD had a little press conference. He was still very apparently angry at Draymond Green. He was giving short answers. It seemed like he was still had quite a bit of anger directed towards Draymond. And of course, Draymond didn't play. He was not at Oracle that night. And then, shoot-around happened on Thursday morning. Draymond kind of did his best to patch things up, said they've talked about it, they're moving forward. Things seem to have calmed down quite a bit in the past couple days, and they're going to move forward with that. Before I get into my thoughts on all of those things, I want to finish wrapping up the rest of the games that happened this week. Unfortunately, it does not get much better from a basketball standpoint from there because lost to the Rockets on Thursday night, 86-107. Nothing really of note. Curry didn't play. Other than that, I don't really want to talk about it. Yesterday, they lost to the Mavericks, 109-112. Lost by 3. Again, KD played all right. Klay Thompson played all right. But again, took an L on the road to a Texas team. And this one is particularly one they should have beaten. So that's kind of tough, a close loss there. And then today they lost to the Spurs, 104-92. Again, with a pretty lackluster performance from the team. KD had 26 today. Klay had 25. Nobody else really did much. Quinn Cook with 16 off the bench. Quinn's been playing well, but other than that, a team with only 2 stars because Draymond's been now he's been hurt. He did play against the Rockets, I believe, but they held him out against the Mavericks and the Spurs because of his toe injury. So they're just being cautious with that, but also there's just a lot going on with the team right now. Steph Curry has been injured all week long. That's not helping. And KD is doing his best, but the rest of the team is not really giving him much to work with. Klay Thompson's been playing well. But yeah, pretty much without Mr. Curry and Mr. Green, they're kind of having a tough time here. So that was the Warriors' week. They went 1-4. In the 5 games that they've played, and they lost to some pretty mediocre teams. Definitely should beat the Clippers, should beat the Mavericks. Rockets can be excused, but again, it was just an overall very poor performance. 86 points. They can only manage 86 to a team that's not particularly great defensively. And then against the Spurs today, only scored 92. Just, I don't know. They're just really, really struggling offensively without Steph, so that's going to be tough. The saddest thing for me is that I'm going to the game on Wednesday. I will be at Oracle Arena when they play the Thunder, and Steph Curry's hurt still. They're not playing super well. Hopefully they'll be able to maybe right the ship a little bit, come out with a W against the Thunder. That would be nice for me, because I do have tickets. But yeah, that'll be a game to watch for sure. And then moving on to what else they have this week, we have the Trailblazers on Friday at home again. That one will also be a tough team. Blazers are actually the number one team in the Western Conference right now. They do have the best record in the West now after the Warriors have lost, 3 in a row now. So yeah, the Blazers have moved into first place. They're playing very well so far. Warriors move on to play the Kings on Saturday at Oracle. That one will be, they should be fine against the Kings, but with the way that they're playing right now, we don't know. So there's only 3 games this week. Calms down a little bit. That game against the Kings is on a back-to-back. They got the Blazers-Kings back-to-back days, but they are at home, so at least there's that. But yeah, things schedule-wise are calming down just a little bit. But it's still, this is not an easy week by any means when you have the Thunder and Trailblazers on the docket, so we will just have to see how they play. And hopefully we do get Steph Curry back sooner rather than later. I believe he's getting reevaluated, is it Thursday, Friday? I'm not sure. We know that he's not playing against the Thunder. That means he probably isn't playing against the Trailblazers too. Don't know. We might have him back for the Kings game, but we'll see. They might hold him out longer after his reevaluation. They'll see where he's at and if he can play. You can tell he's just itching to get on the court based on what we saw. Just like his body language and stuff, trying to warm up with the team and in workouts and things. It looks like he really wants to play, but they're being precautious with it. But right now is not a super great time to be precautious, because when the team is in a whole bunch of emotional turmoil with this whole Draymond KD situation, losing is not going to help that. Now that they've lost 4 out of their last 5, I think. They've lost 4 out of 5 since that has happened, and losing games is not going to help fix the problem. Winning games will help fix the problem. So we do need Steph to get his feet back out on the floor and kind of help us out here. He's playing like the MVP so far, so we're gonna kind of need that back. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the weeks, the week up ahead and the week that has just passed. So yeah, but I'll let you guys know next week how my experience was at Oracle, and that will be that. Okay, I guess I'll just expand on my thoughts from the whole situation a little bit. Obviously, it's not ideal. Draymond plays with a fire and an energy that has bailed us out multiple times. Just his hustle, getting on the ball, grabbing rebounds, making the right plays with assists. Sometimes I remember at Game 7 of the finals a couple of years ago, he made a bunch of threes, even though that was against the Cavs. They ended up losing, but Draymond kept him in it with, he was able to hit like 6 or 7 threes in that game, I seem to remember. It might not have been quite that many, but you get the point. So Draymond's emotion and his heart and his hustle can definitely bail the Warriors out at times, but also it can just kind of dig them into a hole. It just sometimes gets to the point where he's playing so fired up that he can either get himself ejected, get himself in trouble, get himself suspended like he did in Game 5 of the finals a couple of years ago. Suspended for games with technical fouls or flagrants or whatever, as well as, he can get the team in trouble, because of losing his absence or are people fighting, like happened on Monday. Him fighting with KD is pretty rough. I mean, we knew it was kind of going to have to happen eventually. They're 2 strong personalities. But I mean, Draymond is the big reason that Kevin Durant's even on the team to begin with. We know that Draymond sent him a text after they lost the finals a couple of years ago saying, hey, come make it happen. We're recruiting him for free agency. And he made it happen. Kevin Durant came. They've had fights before. It's happened in huddles where Draymond's been yelling at KD. And it's never gotten to the point where Durant has gotten so mad, as mad as he did this week. It definitely really got to him. Apparently, Draymond brought up his free agency. He definitely took things a little too far, and that was why the front office felt a suspension was warranted, because it was conduct detrimental to the team. They felt like it was not, helping them in any way, so they decided to take an action there and suspend Draymond for a game. Which I honestly agree with the front office's decision there. I think that made sense to kind of show that doing that sort of thing is not appropriate. It's not helping anybody really. And Draymond knows it, and he knows that his emotions get the best of him. I think he alluded to it in some of his media availability this week, where he's like, yes, I'm an emotional player. I let my emotions get to me. Sometimes stuff comes out, and I wish he would control it better, but I mean, that's kind of just what you get with Draymond Green, right? You get an amazing defender, a really, really good passer, defensive player of the year candidate. He can score if you need him to, an emotional heart of the team, all-star player. He's very, very good. But along with that, you also get the emotion, some fights sometimes, a little bit of blow-ups, technical fouls, sometimes flagrants, stuff like that. He can be a little bit rough around the edges sometimes, and that's just what we get when we decided to have Draymond Green on the team. Yes, we drafted him for a reason. I'm sure that the front office knew that going in. They knew that when they've signed him to an extension. They knew that when they've kept him on the roster for these past 7 years now he's been with us. Front office knows that, and they're aware of what kind of risk that brings, and they're willing to take that. And I think it's a fair one to take. And then, the same thing with Kevin Durant. They kind of know that he's a little bit, I don't know. I don't want to say sensitive, but he's kind of, it's just, he lets things get to him sometimes, and that's okay too. He's been a great player for us the past 3 seasons. Obviously, 2-time Finals MVP. He's been league MVP before, averaging 25 some odd points. Kevin Durant's been great, and obviously we're super, super grateful for him and his time with the team. I'm not really sure what this means for the future of the Warriors. Obviously, there is still a very long season left ahead of us. We're still in the very start. The Warriors right now are 12-6. They played 18 games out of 82, plus whatever they have in the playoffs, however many they're going to play there. I'm assuming, they still have a long time to get this ironed out. I think a lot of the recent losing has more to do with Curry being gone than with the fight. But I'm sure both are playing a big part in that. But the Warriors are now 12-6, second place in the Western Conference, which, that's not bad. Certainly they should be better than this right now, but it happens. They'll have a chance to right the ship. But I guess I'll just give a little preview of what free agency could look like next summer. So next year, Steph Curry's under contract. We're fine. Draymond Green's under contract. We're assuming that he will be back. I don't think they're going to trade him. Unless Kevin Durant gives them an ultimatum and says, "Hey, trade Draymond or I'm not re-signing." I could see them listening to that there. But Klay Thompson's a free agent. KD's a free agent. Boogie Cousins is also a free agent. So the Warriors' summer could go many ways. If Kevin Durant decides to leave, then they'll respect that. And if he's already made his mind up and stuff, there's really not much they can do to convince him to stay. So if Kevin Durant does decide to go wherever he wants to go, honestly, it doesn't matter too much where he decides to sign. That's not going to impact the Warriors' decision. I wouldn't say so. But that does mean that they'll probably throw a max contract at Klay Thompson, which makes sense, and I would be very happy with that. If KD leaves, Klay will almost for sure be back, even though I think he will also be back if KD does stay. So I think we're keeping Klay regardless. And if Kevin Durant does leave, that frees up a little bit of cap space for potentially re-signing Boogie Cousins, depending on how he plays from his Achilles, return from Achilles stuff, but whatever. You guys know the drill. Kevin Durant's decision will impact what kind of contract they throw Boogie Cousins, because right now he seems like a 1-year rental, but obviously plans can change. I'm not really sure what that does to the cap if they don't have KD's contract on the books, depending on what Klay signs for, stuff like that. But there is an outside chance, I would say, that if Kevin Durant does decide to leave, they could still bring back Boogie and Klay, both of them. There's other free agents that they could try to bring in for more than the minimum. And they will probably have their mid-level exception next year. Well, they will have their mid-level exception next year, so they'll be able to use that on somebody. But yeah, I mean, if KD leaves, I don't think it's the end of the world, really. Obviously, I think that Curry is the heart and soul of this team. You see what happens when he's hurt. You see what happens when he doesn't play. It's kind of... I think he's definitely a lot more valuable to the Warriors than Kevin Durant is. As of right now, from what I've seen so far this year, I think Steph's a better player. I think that's fair to say that so far this season, Curry's been better than KD. Obviously, the biggest concern with Steph is his health. That's been a major problem for him, increasing more and more in the past couple seasons. Obviously, this current injury that he has is not a big deal. It's not going to impact him long term. But again, if he just keeps getting these little injuries and they start to pile up, that's going to be tough. To have Curry miss, 3 games here, 4 games here, 10 games here. That's really going to add up, because you see what happens when he doesn't play. And if they don't have Curry or KD, if Klay Thompson's on an off night, Draymond Green can't really score. Even if they do bring back Boogie, he's not going to be able to carry that much of a load there. They're going to need somebody else to carry that. If they don't have Curry and KD, that's just going to be hard. So if Kevin Durant does leave, Steph Curry's health becomes a lot more important. But yeah, those are just my basic thoughts there. Not really sure. Obviously, like I said, it's a long season ahead. If I was a betting man, I would bet on KD staying, just because I want to believe that it will happen. I don't know, maybe I'm too optimistic here, but I do think they have a really good shot of retaining both Klay and KD. And if that does happen, obviously Boogie will not be back. But yeah, I mean, we just need Steph to come back, and even if Boogie can come back relatively soon, the clock is kind of starting to tick down on that one a little bit. I think he seems to be making very good progress, and he does want to get on that court. So I'm excited to see the team when we finally have all 5 All-Stars active, but that day might not be for a while. We will have to see. Anyway, that's looking like that's going to be it for today. Just a little quick thought on the drama from this week. So I don't know. We'll have to see what unfolds in the week to come. Whether I think it's mostly over with. I think that's kind of all we're going to hear about it for a while, until something else happens, or until free agency, whatever. But for right now, I think it's mostly been patched over. We just need Steph Curry to come back so we can start winning basketball games again. That is the important thing here. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week. This has been the DubsIn4 Podcast, and thanks for listening.